Hey guys, this is Rob. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and today I want to talk about this crazy discourse and back and forth that people are having with each other online around this concept. Nothing confirmed, just a concept and some purported leaks that seem to support this. Around the idea of the Switch 2 maybe being as powerful as the PlayStation 4, and if that was even true, which again, we do not know if it's true, the fact that some people are okay with it and some people really hate that. Before I jump into this topic and discuss the debate that others are having online around this, I just want to let you guys know I am trying to cross 25,000 subscribers, and I hope to do so in the next couple of months. So if you're new to the channel and this is your first video, I certainly hope you subscribe, or if you've been watching for a while and not subscribed, then I hope this video is the one that convinces you to finally do so. So I know it might be ironic to discuss this immediately following my last video where I talked about the comparison between the Nintendo NX rumor period and the current Switch 2 rumor period, and the fact that the Nintendo NX was a real thing that Nintendo and Satoru Iwata told us about, whereas all of the discussions we're all having around the Switch 2 nowadays is based on nothing actually confirmed from Nintendo. But it is important to note that the real thesis and kind of inspiration for this video is more the discussion and the debates that I see people having online, mostly on Twitter and also a little bit on YouTube, around this idea. And again, it's an idea that is not confirmed and comes from some shady sources that maybe don't have the best track record. It's a very interesting situation to watch play out. People are very heated and passionate about the whole thing, and it does certainly trigger some ideas in me as a fan, a game fan, and a Nintendo fan, over how I would feel if it was true that the Switch 2 would even be as powerful as the PlayStation 4. And so, yeah, from that perspective, I kind of want to break down exactly what's going on and what people are quote-unquote fighting about. So for the past few weeks, and maybe even the past few months, you could say, there has been this discussion out there of some people claiming to be in the know, stating that the Switch 2, or whatever this next generation console is going to be from Nintendo, will be as powerful as a base-level PS4. Now, again, for like the fifth time already in this very quick intro, that is not confirmed. None of it is. There is nothing real. Nintendo has told us nothing. No one has confirmed anything. But this concept of a base PS4 power Switch 2 does exist. And even more recently, there has been a Taiwanese economics website that has also claimed to have more specific specs, and so there's been these specs rolling around out there, and I'm going to share a screenshot here of that for you to just kind of look over, and it talks about things that I don't know what they mean. T239 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, but also 64 gigs of actual storage, and just screen refresh stuff. When I see the improved battery life and the price of $400, that's obvious to me. The 64 gigs of on-system storage, that also makes sense to me. But all these other things, and I think there's maybe even some other places that has it laid out even more thoroughly, none of that stuff means anything to me because, as you guys know, I'm not smart enough to get into the weeds on the tech stuff. But the general takeaway from the past few weeks of specs being quote-unquote leaked is that we might be looking at a Switch 2 that's as powerful as the PlayStation 4. And to come back to the online discourse around that, we've got people saying that that's completely fine and people saying that it is not good enough. Now, I'll just go ahead and tell you guys again, even though we are going on nothing confirmed, let's just talk about it as a theoretical truth. Let's pretend that in 6 months we have a confirmed Switch 2 and we know enough about the techs factually from Nintendo, not people speculating, that says the Switch 2 is as powerful as a base PlayStation 4. Personally, I am more than okay with that, and I will follow plenty of other examples that people online have laid out there in defending this concept by saying, look at some of the best PlayStation 4 games that exist. They are beautiful. Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2, God of War 2018, and God of War Ragnarok. All of the Resident Evil remakes, of which there are plenty. I mean, and there's so many other examples. When you look at games like this and you see what they're capable of doing on just the base PS4, again, not even PS4 Pro, not even PlayStation 5, it's pretty impressive. And I think that what you have to do is imagine Nintendo, of all companies, getting their hands on technology that capable, technology that could make Ghost of Tsushima possible, and then imagine the next Legend of Zelda, or the next Metroid game, or heaven forbid, and I'm not even a fan of this franchise, but heaven forbid the Pokemon Company makes a game for a system this capable, that's a Pokemon game. I mean, the sky becomes the limit, and it becomes even more impressive when you imagine holding that technology in your hand and playing it portably, which admittedly I myself will not do. I am 99% a TV player of my Nintendo Switch, but when you imagine what it would look like on a handheld, and I think I've heard people say that that would even be more capable than what the Steam Deck is capable of. Now, I don't know that for sure, so don't quote me, but I think I've heard that going around out there. And if that's even true, then it becomes even more interesting and exciting, you know? And so, just for me, you know, I don't get upset at the idea of a PlayStation 4 capable Nintendo Switch 2. Are you kidding me? Look at these games. The Last of Us Part 2 on the PlayStation 4 is so unbelievably beautiful. I just shudder to think at what Nintendo could do with power that interesting. Of course, the debate out there from the naysayers or the people who are maybe just not Nintendo fans are saying that it's just more of an example of Nintendo being behind the curve and they can't keep up and they're making kiddie games for kiddie toys for kid gamers simply because the PS5 and the Series X are admittedly obviously more powerful than the PlayStation 4. And so if Nintendo's newest console that's meant to continue to compete with the PS5 and Series X is only as powerful as a PS4, these naysayers or these even Nintendo haters are going to say that, oh, look at this, Nintendo's always behind. They're just giving you guys crap and you keep lapping it up because you're Nintendo fanboys. And I just think that that's silly, man, because I think that you're looking at the wrong aspect of gaming when you're considering what's good or not good. And look, man, I'm not going to pretend like significant power isn't interesting to me, and I'm not going to pretend like amazing graphics aren't interesting to me. So if I could choose, I would choose for Nintendo to make a Switch 2 that's as powerful as the PS5. Yes, you know, all things being equal, if I was the all-seeing god of Nintendo and could make my own choice, I would say make it as powerful or more powerful than the PS5. But since I'm not in that position, when I think of Nintendo getting their hands on PS4 capable tech, again, and PS4 capable tech that would also be a handheld, I think that it comes down to the games. You have to look at Nintendo's track record at making games and interesting gameplay and telling great stories with, you know, Xenoblade games and Fire Emblem games and even the lore of The Legend of Zelda and Metroid, my two favorite franchises. What Nintendo does as far as their game design and game development, that's what they do best. Then let's look at the next piece of evidence, which is what they do with hardware when they're working on it. And you can look at what they did with their best games on the Nintendo Wii, right? So that was the last standard definition console at the time that it released. They made games like Metroid Prime 3 and Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. And I'll even say Metroid Other M. I know people obviously hate the game, but I actually think that game, especially in the cutscenes, was very beautiful. And so you look at what they did with some of their biggest budget games on the Nintendo Wii, standard definition. It was really impressive. Then you look at games on the Wii U where they really put their all into it. And to me, the best examples would be, well, Breath of the Wild released on the Wii U. So that, of course, was a beautiful game for Wii U. And then you look at Super Mario 3D World, like, oh my God, that game was basically like a Pixar cartoon at the time that it came out. And that was on the Wii U, which was not nearly as powerful as the PS4 and Xbox One at that time. And we see the same thing with games like Luigi's Mansion 3 or Tears of the Kingdom, right? On the Nintendo Switch. What they're able to do with some of these games when Nintendo themselves are working on their own hardware, they work magic. It's almost like they can effectively, by cheating, they can double the output of what they're seeing, double the graphic impressiveness on their hardware compared to what other companies are doing. Metroid Prime Remastered is another incredible example, the best looking game on the Switch in my opinion. And so I say all that to say that even if the Switch 2 was a PS4 Pro powered, or base PS4 powered device, I feel like Nintendo's own game development is going to be insane. Now, I'll also add that I think that most third-party games that will be releasing on PS5 and Series X will also be coming to the Switch 2 if it's that level of power, and probably be pretty close to on par as far as what they're capable of doing and looking like and playing like, you know? And hopefully that means we get them released same day and date as well. That might still continue to be a problem next gen if it's PS4 level, but hopefully not. I would just love to see this happen. And so I feel like the people who are downplaying the significance of a PS4 powered Nintendo Switch 2 or handheld Nintendo device, they're really not seeing the full picture. They're not grasping Nintendo's incredible talent at game development and game design, and their incredible ability to get the most visually out of the hardware that they're working on. It's like I said earlier, it's like they work magic on their own hardware. And so I just think people are overthinking it. And it comes down to game design. And Nintendo, they're just the best at what they do. And so I'll just wrap this up to say, one reminder at the end here, that this isn't even fact. This is all speculation and this debate online. And you've got people very heavily defending and very heavily naysaying. You got a lot of people shit-talking each other and just the normal crap you see online, right? People are like really heated about this thing. And to me, I mean, my firm opinion is that a PS4 powered Switch 2 is more than okay, and it gets me extremely excited at what it's going to be capable of. But I also don't think it's worth getting your panties in a bunch and getting all up in arms the way people are. But in today's gaming landscape, with the internet and social media and smartphones in our pocket giving us all this crap, within seconds of things happening all the time, this is just what happens, man. People get they get overly defensive or they get overly antagonistic. It's just the toxicity of like online conversations around video games nowadays. And maybe this is the old man in me who longs for the days where the internet wasn't a part of the conversation and it was just you and your friends and the people you knew or the people you would talk to at your local game store talking about and having opinions about video games, and those conversations are always different when you're having them in person with somebody, whether you know them or whether they're a stranger. And also relying on video game magazines to come out and tell us the previous month's news, that we would flip through physical pages in video game magazines. That was a great time. I mean, I grew up in that era. I was working for GameStop as an assistant manager during the 6th generation, PS2, Xbox, GameCube. It was so much fun, and nowadays it's different. And so I can sit here and say, I have a firm opinion in being excited for the PS4 level Switch 2, but also saying it's not that big of a deal regardless, and let's just wait and see and stop being so lame about it on the internet. But again, that's a losing battle, and I know it's a losing battle, so I'm not going to harp on that anymore. The main point to wrap up is that this is all just speculation. Nothing is confirmed. This Taiwanese website doesn't necessarily know everything. Nintendo hasn't confirmed the Switch 2 even exists, let alone the specs. So let's all relax, just like I was talking about in my last video. Nothing is real. Everyone chill out. Let's wait and see, and then let's discuss and dissect the details once we have the facts, which, again, in my guess, will happen before summer of this year. I think in the next couple months, maybe even weeks, if we're lucky, we'll know more about the Switch 2. So that's what I have to say. Share your thoughts below. Again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time on another video. Bye-bye.